Hello and welcome here at Technical University of Munich. My name is Michael Ritter and I am the secretary to the examination board in our master's programs in mathematics. I'd like to give you an overview of the examination regulations that are relevant for your master's programs here at TUM. But first and foremost, let me once again welcome you to our university. After a very long time of teaching and learning from our homes, we are now all very much looking forward to coming back to campus. And I do hope, of course, that you feel similar. We are eager to give lectures and exercises, and we are eager to meet our colleagues and, of course, you, our students, in person once again. Of course, things are not quite back to normal yet, if there ever was something that one would call normal at a university. As regulations with regards to COVID-19 are subject to change, and they can change quickly, as we've learned in the past, I'm not going to go into any details about that in this video. Instead, I would like to refer you to the TUM website, where you can always find up-to-date information on that subject and any possible restrictions and regulations. A link is displayed in this video below. Let me also mention that most lecturers are aware that coming to campus might still be challenging for some of you. For this reason, some courses will make an effort to offer their lectures as a live stream in addition to the on-campus courses, or there might be recorded lectures or in some cases videos from previous semesters. So for those who cannot join us at campus yet, please ask your lecturers for alternatives so that you may still be able to follow the courses. Again, we can't guarantee that such an offer will be possible in all cases, but we'll make an effort if there is sufficient demand for valid reasons. As far as examinations at the end of this semester are concerned, we currently expect to be able to conduct these on campus. There will usually not be a remote examination alternative. So please make sure to be here in Munich by examination time, so that you will be able to attend the examinations in person and on campus. In the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about general study regulations concerning all of our master's programs in mathematics. I'm going to introduce you to most important topics concerning these study regulations. I will give an overview of the structure of your study program, and I will introduce you to some very important points you will definitely want to know about. Let me start by giving you an overview over the rest of this video. In the first part of this video, I'm going to introduce you to some people that you will meet at some point during your studies when you're dealing with administrative issues. My hope here is, in particular, to help you find the right person to address your question to, so that if any problems or questions arise, you know where to turn to. I will then talk about the general structure of our study programs and the requirements for obtaining your degree. I will have some advice on how to select elective modules and what requirements need to be fulfilled by the end of your study program. The details of these regulations differ among our programs. Some things are the same for all programs. Some things are different. So I will also tell you where to find more details. Generally, all the details are in the legal documents. Those are called Fachprüfungs- und Studienordnung, or FPSO for short. As these are legal documents, they are available in German only. But usually, once you know where to look, they should be reasonably easy to understand. I will try to give you a brief introduction to help you find the relevant places and extract the information that is most important for you. After that, I will give you a quick overview of TUM Online. In particular, I will show how to find your study program, how to extract information about it, and how to find information on specific modules on TUM Online. Next, I'm going to say a few words about examinations. I will tell you more about how examinations are usually conducted here at TUM. Some things might be new to you, and that is especially true if you have not studied at a German university before. For many German universities, things are similar to what we do here at TUM, and the same is probably true for many European universities as well. For non-European universities, things might be quite different. So you might want to pay attention here, especially if you have not studied at TUM or a different German university before. I will of course also warn you about possible pitfalls, about some of the deadlines you have to observe, and about dangers you might face, as far as your study program is concerned at least. You will thus know what to look out for, when to ask for help, if things don't quite go as they should. Finally, I will offer some explanations on a few selected unusual modules like seminars, internships, and the internship seminar, and also on so-called interdisciplinary modules. Let's start by getting to know some of the people you will meet during your studies. I have already introduced myself. Once again, my name is Michael Ritter. And here you can also see my colleague Anja Hoffmann. Anja and I are responsible for all general questions around your master's program, or all the master's programs, and the examination regulations. You can either reach us by email at master@ma.tum.de, or you can drop by during our consultation hours. Currently these are virtual and are held on Fridays from 11 to 12. You can find the contact data and the details for the virtual consultation hours on the website at www.ma.tum.de. If you have questions specific to your study program, things like which modules should I choose, for example, then it's probably best to talk to your study advisors. There's one or more study advisors for each of our programs. Let's start with Mathematics and Data Science. Peter Massopost is your study advisor. So if you have any questions, for example, on module choice, specific to your program, then please talk to him. For the study program Mathematical Finance and Actuarial Science, there's two study advisors. Your main advisor is Alexei Min, and there's also Diana Konash to help out. You can find the email here on that slide, or again, the contact data is also available on our website. For the study program in mathematics, Frank Himstedt is your study advisor. And if you're studying mathematics and operations research, please refer your questions to René Brandenberg. Finally, for those of you studying mathematics and science and engineering, Rainer Kallis is your study advisor. Your study advisors will be happy to talk to you in case of any problems, in case of questions about your study program, and so on. So please don't hesitate to contact them at any time. If you don't know who the right person for your question is, there's a chance you'll end up at the info point. The info point is usually located at room 00.10.52. It's currently closed to the public, but of course I hope we can reopen at some point during the coming year. And then you will get a chance to meet these ladies here in person. When you go to the info point, you'll either meet Silke Brandenberg, Heike Kudlich, or Anja Hoffmann. And they will either be able to help you with your questions, or at least they will be able to direct you to the right person for your question. As I said, the info point is currently closed to the public, but of course you can still reach us. Just write an email to infopoint@ma.tum.de, and again, one of these ladies will see how we can help you. The contact data is also on our website once again, and of course the info point can also be reached by telephone then. Last but not least, here's our international office. Those of you coming from abroad will probably have met Julia Zullock already. She's responsible for the incomings. So if you have any questions that are specific to your status as an incoming, for example, concerning visa issues, then Julia is the person you should talk to. For those of you who want to go abroad to spend a semester at some other university, you will probably talk to Carola Jumpertz and probably also to Angela Puchert at some point. Carola is responsible for our outgoings, so if you plan to spend a semester somewhere else, you'll need to talk to her. Angela is mostly responsible for recognitions for the Erasmus program. So if you're doing your semester abroad as part of the Erasmus program, you also talk to Angela for your learning agreement. If you want to go abroad, please visit one of the information events that the International Office is offering, and please make sure to talk to one of these people as early as possible, because it's always a good idea to plan ahead. Deadlines for applications for stays abroad are often very early. To get in contact, again, you can use email. The email is international@ma.tum.de. Other contact data is available on the website here. Now let's briefly talk about the structure of your program. I'll give you a quick overview about the structure of that program. Of course, the details are different for each of the programs, and most of those details are actually up to you. For most of the programs, the modules, or most of the modules at least, are elective modules. So you get to choose which modules you actually want to do and which you don't want to do. There are a few rare exceptions, and I'll let you know about those in a minute. Let's talk about credit points first, in case you're not familiar with the credit point system. There's a number of credit points assigned to each module, and those credit points are earned through examination usually. So for each module, there is some kind of examination, usually an exam at the end of the module, but sometimes there's also a midterm or a presentation, or there might be homework or things like that. How exactly those credit points are earned, how exactly the examination works, is laid down in the module handbook for each module. In general, the credit points give you an idea of how much work is expected for that module. 1 credit point corresponds to a workload of 30 hours in total. 1 semester corresponds to 30 credit points. So the workload for 1 semester is equal to about 6 months of full-time work at 40 hours per week. So you should be aware of the fact that doing a study program is actually a full-time job during the whole year. It's not just the lectures, it's also the time that you spend at home working through worksheets, working through the lectures again, studying on your own. It's the time you spend for preparation for the exam, and of course the time that you actually spend at the exam. All that is part of that workload. So if, for example, a module has 5 credit points, then what that means is that you should spend 30 hours times 5, so 150 hours of total workload for that module during the semester. So that should give you an idea of how much time roughly you should allocate to each of the modules you do. And those 30 credit points per semester should give you an idea of how many modules you should take per semester. The idea is to get at least close to that 30 credit points. That results in this general timeline here. The normal duration of a master's program is 4 semesters. And for each of the semesters, you complete modules worth around 30 credits. For the first 2 semesters, there might be an extra workload if you have prerequisites. I'm going to talk about prerequisites a little more later on. But just to let you know, if you have those, they need to be completed within your first year of studies. And this is an absolute requirement. The prerequisite courses do also not count towards the credits you earn for your master's program. As the name suggests, they are meant as prerequisites. They cannot be used as part of the credit workload here. There's one special module that's a seminar. You're required to do at least 1 seminar, and you'll usually do the seminar in your 3rd semester. You're generally free to schedule that for another semester if you want to, but the idea is to do it during the 3rd semester as a preparation for the master's thesis, and you'll usually do the master's thesis in the last semester. That thesis alone has a workload of 30 credits, so you usually don't take any other modules during your master's thesis. An internship is also required. And the idea here is that you complete the internship at some time during your 2nd and 3rd semester or in the semester break between those. Again, there is no formal requirement to do that in that time. It's just a suggestion. And of course, you will have the chance to go abroad to spend 1 semester at some other university. If you want to do that, again, there is no formal requirement of when to do that. The best time is usually also the 2nd or the 3rd semester. As I've said already, if you plan on doing this, please be sure to talk to our international office as early as possible and visit the information events they offer. Let's have a look at the degree requirements. Let me mention right away that the credit points that I'm listing here are not valid for the master's program Mathematics in Data Science. The general structure is the same, but the credit points differ a little. I'll refer you to a PDF document that I'll upload to the website for the details. Now, usually for the programs, you have one larger block that consists of mathematical modules and, depending on the program, some minor modules as well. That block is worth 77 credits. So in the course of your studies, usually during the first 3 semesters, you need to earn 77 credits from these modules. Then there's the master thesis. I mentioned already that this is worth 30 credits in total. You'll usually complete that during your 4th semester. You'll notice we are now at 107 credits, so a few credits short of the required 120 credits. To complete that, I already mentioned the seminar. You have to complete a seminar, and that is worth 3 credits for the master's programs. And now here's an exception. For the master's program in data science, the seminar is worth 5 credits. It's also a little more work, but the structure is a little different there. Yeah, so that's one of the differences. On top of that, I also mentioned the internship. And in addition to actually doing the internship, you'll also have to attend the internship seminar. In the internship seminar, you give a report, usually a presentation, about your seminar. And you also give feedback and or ask questions for at least 2 other talks. Completing that is worth 6 credits. Again, there's a difference for the data science program. The internship is worth more in the data science program, but it also needs to be longer. I'll give you some more details on the internship later, but let me just mention the requirement here is an internship of 4 weeks. You usually do more, but 4 weeks is the minimum requirement. Finally, there's 4 credits in interdisciplinary modules. Again, I'll talk about those in more detail later. Just to give you an idea, that includes things like language courses or soft skills courses. You have to complete 4 credits in those interdisciplinary modules until the end of your degree program. So you'll usually just have a look at what is offered in the current semester, and if there's something that interests you, you can take one of those courses and collect those 4 credit points. That's usually 2 or 3 courses, depending on which courses you select. So that completes the 120 credits that are necessary for the completion of your degree. To get more information about the specific degree requirements, I recommend you have a look at campus.tum.de and specifically at your curriculum. The curriculum there will show you the minimum credit requirements for the program and also for certain sections. Usually there's modules that are grouped into different sections, and there might be credit requirements for each of that section on top of the total requirements. You'll also have access to the module handbook with more detailed descriptions of the modules, the contents, the workload, the examination, and so on. And finally, course registration and of course exam registration is also possible through your curriculum on TUM Online. I'll show you an example in a screencast in just a minute. Let's have a look at examinations next. There are different forms of examinations. The one that you'll most often encounter is a written exam with limited time. The usual time limit for most math modules is 60 or 90 minutes. Longer exams are rare in mathematics, sometimes you'll encounter longer exams in some of your minor subjects. For very small courses, there's also the option of doing oral exams. An oral exam is usually 20 to 30 minutes long, and it consists, as the name suggests, of a discussion with your examiner. For some courses, the examination form is different. For example, it might consist of doing a presentation, some homework, it might consist of a written report, or things like that. The details are laid out in the module handbook, and of course, your examiner will let you know about the details of the examination. For each of the exams that you write, there is a retake. The usual examination period starts right after the end of lectures and is usually 3 weeks long. For example, the examinations after this winter semester, which ends on February 12th, start on February 15th, and the examination period for the first attempt ends on March 6th. The retakes for the math modules then take place by the end of the semester break. For example, the semester usually starts mid-April, the summer semester. So that means retake examinations will usually take place from the end of March until mid-April. There is no requirement to actually take or try to take the first attempt if you want to do the retake. So if you decide to not go for the first attempt and only try the retake, that's completely fine. You cannot do a retake if you have passed an exam. So there is no explicit limit on the number of attempts for an exam. You are allowed to do as many retakes as you can fit in your time here. But once you pass an exam, you cannot do any more attempts. All of these regulations may be different for other departments. The examination periods may be different if you have modules in your minor, and also the retake regulations may be different. One notable exception is computer science. For some of the elective modules in computer science, there is no immediate retake. There might only be one examination. That's due to the fact that computer science argues for an elective module, you could choose to do any other elective module in the next semester. So that would count as the retake. Also, for some departments, retakes do not take place at the end of the semester break, but instead during the normal examination phase of the next semester. If you want to take an exam, you have to register for that on TUM Online. Please note that registration for a course does not imply registration for an exam, and vice versa. Those things are two completely different things. The registration period usually takes place during the semester. For example, for this winter semester, exam registration will hopefully open on December 7th and will close on January 15th. There will be an email sent around once exam registration starts. At that time, you should make up your mind which exams you want to take during the first attempt and register right away. You can always deregister from an exam. The deadline for deregistration is usually 1 week before the exam date. The retake has a separate registration period. So sometime after the first attempts ended, And once you have your results, usually the registration for the retake starts. Again, there'll be information by email once that happens. There is no automatic registration for the retake if you failed the first attempt, so you have to register for the retake separately. And because that question is asked pretty often, if you fail an exam, it will not show up on your final transcript. So on the degree documents, only those exams that you actually passed will be listed. There will be no failed exams and also no count of the attempts. Let's also talk about recognitions. If you go on abroad and take courses at a university there, or if you have already taken some master level courses, either here at TUM or at some other university, then there is an option to have those recognized so that the grades and the credits can enter your degree. There are basically two different forms of recognition. That is one-to-one recognition or recognition as a course from some other university. As a general rule, only master level courses can be recognized for the master's programs, and only courses that have not entered your bachelor's grade can be used. There is one exception to that last rule. If your bachelor's program was a 4-year program, then we will accept modules intended for the 4th year. Let's quickly talk about the difference between one-to-one and other universities. The one-to-one recognition can be used if you can find a TUM module that has basically the same learning outcomes as the module that you took and basically covers the same contents. In that case, you can apply for a one-to-one recognition. And that means the module will be recognized as if you had actually taken the corresponding TUM module. In particular, those credits will then enter in the section of your examination regulations, of your curriculum, where the TUM module is listed. So that might be interesting if you have to fulfill certain credit limits. There's one downside to that, and that's the number of credits. There's a limit to the number of credits. If your module has fewer credits than the corresponding TUM module, then you will only get those fewer credits. If your module had more credits than the corresponding TUM module, then you'll only get the credits from the TUM module. So it's always the minimum credit number that will be recognized in a one-to-one recognition. The other option is to have the module recognized as a module from other universities. There's usually limits on the number of credits you can get recognized from other universities in math courses or in minor module courses. Again, the requirements are we'll only use master level courses. The modules must not have been used for your bachelor's program. And of course, they have to be a good fit. So either they have to be a math module or they have to be a good fit for the minor if you want to recognize a non-math module. If you have any modules that you would like to recognize, the best course of action is usually to come talk to us. We'll have a look at the documents and we can give you advice on how to get those modules recognized. We'll need a transcript, of course. We need some kind of documentation that shows the modules are master level courses and they did not enter your bachelor's grade. So usually we require a transcript of your bachelor's as well. And we need some kind of module description. Again, if you want to have some module recognized, just collect those documents, come talk to us, and we will see what the best course of action is. Now let's talk a little about some of the things that better not go wrong and that hopefully will not ever happen to you during your study program here. Still, it's good to know about the dangers that you might meet. The first thing I'd like to point out is the prerequisites. We've already encountered those briefly. If you have prerequisites, those must be passed within your first year of studies here. And that date is totally strict. The semester count is not relevant for that. So even if you take a leave of absence, if you were sick, if you could not take the examinations for whatever reason, it does not matter. Prerequisites must be passed within your first year. There is absolutely no extensions for prerequisites. And I already mentioned that the credits assigned to prerequisites do not count towards your master's program. As these regulations are pretty strict, you might want to think about a backup in case you have prerequisites. That is especially important if the examinations for your prerequisites only take place during the second semester of your studies. Because that may mean by the time you know whether you've actually passed the prerequisites or not, it will usually be too late to execute some backup plan. So you'll have to think ahead a little. And one possible backup plan is to apply for a different master's program. There's deadlines for the applications, and I'm sure you all know these deadlines. And they are pretty much ahead of the actual start of that master's program. So you'll have to plan early. Remember, you can always apply for some program, maybe get an acceptance, and then decline the offer. That's not a problem at all. So at least if your prerequisite examinations only take place in your second semester, I suggest you apply for some other master's program, for example, for one of the other math master's programs that we offer, just in case. If all goes well, if you pass your prerequisites, then you just decline that offer and stay enrolled in your program. However, if you fail the prerequisites and your program would be terminated, then you can continue your studies in the backup program. And of course, there's an option to transfer credits that you've earned in your current program, as long as those modules can actually be used in the new program. So that transition can be more or less seamless if you plan ahead and execute that backup plan on time. In case your prerequisite examination is offered at the end of your second semester, there is a special regulation that you need to be aware of. Legally, you are not allowed to re-enroll for a third semester until you have successfully passed your prerequisite. To enforce this regulation, a re-enrollment block will be put into effect on your TUM Online account by the end of your second semester. Of course, this only applies if you have not already passed your prerequisite exam in the first semester. The block will be lifted once you have officially passed the prerequisite examination, and then you will be able to re-enroll. However, here's the catch. If you only manage to pass in the retake attempt, which takes place by the end of your second semester, then the grade for that prerequisite exam might only be available during the first few weeks of the third semester. And that means you will legally not have student status for the time between the end of the second semester and when your grade becomes available. In many cases, this is not problematic, but in some cases, it might be. For example, if you need a visa renewed during that time. If this might be a severe problem for you, then please make sure to take early action to enroll in some other study program as a backup plan, so that you can maintain your student status in that other study program while you're waiting for the results of the prerequisite exam to become valid. Now, how do you know whether you have prerequisites? The answer is you have a look at your acceptance letter. You can download that acceptance letter on TUM Online, and you probably did so already, otherwise you wouldn't know that you were accepted. That's a typical German acceptance letter. So it says something like Zulassungsbescheid and then your study program and the semester. If that letter contains a sentence like this: Diese Zulassung gilt vorbehaltlich der Erfüllung von folgenden Auflagen, then you know you have prerequisites. And here, for example, there's one prerequisite listed below that sentence that says Modulauflage Wahrscheinlichkeitstheorie. So that means you have to pass that module Wahrscheinlichkeitstheorie during your first year. The English version of that letter looks like this. There's a letter of admission for the mathematical finance in this case. And it would contain a sentence like this: The admission is only valid if the following requirements are fulfilled. And again, the requirements would be listed here as Modulauflage, Wahrscheinlichkeitstheorie in this case. So that's probability theory. There is one prerequisite that you might have gotten and you don't have to worry about, and that's the German language prerequisite. We usually give this prerequisite to everyone who does not have proof of German language skills. That prerequisite will be considered fulfilled once you pass at least one module, no matter what that module is, that can be used for your study program. The reasoning behind this is we're saying if you actually manage to survive here in Germany for a year and even pass a module, then your German skills are sufficient. So don't worry about that German language skills requirement. Do worry about the others though. In addition to prerequisites, there's one more thing that you'll have to worry about during your first year. And that's what I'm calling fundamental modules. There's no official name for those. The regulation here is there is a certain selection of modules that's different for each of the study programs, and you have to pass at least one of those modules during your first year. Which modules that are is listed in your examination regulations and only there. So you'd have to have a look at your examination regulations to find that out. You need to have a look at Article 38. It's always Article 38. Now here's an example for Article 38. That one is taken from the Math Master's Program. And that sounds a little complicated, but it actually is not. Let's have a look at that. It says here, bei Wahl eines Studienschwerpunkts muss mindestens eine der in der Anlage 1 aufgeführten Modulprüfungen aus dem Katalogabschnitt, der dem Schwerpunkt zugeordnet ist, bis zum Ende des zweiten Semesters erfolgreich abgelegt werden. So what that sentence says is, if you choose an area of focus in your program, then you have to complete one module from that area of focus during the first 2 semesters. So those would be your fundamental modules. And then a sentence goes on. Wird kein Schwerpunkt gewählt, so muss bis zum Ende des zweiten Semesters mindestens eine der in der Anlage 1 aufgeführten Modulprüfungen aus den Abschnitten A oder B1 erfolgreich abgelegt werden. So in case you do not choose a focus area, it says you have to complete at least one module from sections A or B1. A include all the possible focus areas. B1 is all the other math modules. So basically A or B1 means any math module. So the fundamental modules in this case are all the math modules included in the program. You have to complete at least one of those math modules until the end of your second semester. One more example. This one, I believe, is from the finance program. And most programs look like this, actually. It says, mindestens eine der in der Anlage 1 aufgeführten Modulprüfungen aus den Abschnitten A11, A12 und A13 muss bis zum Ende des zweiten Semesters erfolgreich abgelegt werden. So here, it explicitly lists sections A11, A12, A13, and you need to complete at least one module from either of that section until the end of your second semester. So those sections, the modules in those sections, those count as your fundamental modules in this case. Which modules are in those sections you can either see on TOM Online. I'll refer you to the screencast that we've seen before. Or you can just have a look at this Anlage 1, Appendix 1 of your FPSO. We'll also have a look at that in the little screencast. And there the modules are listed as well. The more current version is usually TOM Online, so I suggest you look at that. That's it for the first 2 semesters. The next possible hurdle is after your third semester, because that is when study progress monitoring kicks in. Basically, you want to make sure that your study progress is sufficient so that you will actually be able to finish your degree successfully. There's not much required progress during the first 2 semesters, but of course the idea is that you roughly complete around 30 credits per semester. And that idea turns into a strict requirement by the third semester. So, once you complete your third semester, including the examination period and including the retakes after the third semester, you need to have earned at least 30 credits. After your fourth semester, you need to have earned at least 60 credits. After the fifth semester, you need at least 90 credits. And after the sixth semester, you need 120 credits. And that means you need to have completed the program after your sixth semester. So that's what's known as study progress monitoring. If you fall below these limits, then please contact us as soon as possible so that we can see what options there might still be. Generally, if you fail to meet one of these requirements, then your study program will be terminated. So that's why if you've think there might be problems, then please do not hesitate to ask for help. You can ask me, you can ask Anja Hoffmann, and of course you can talk to your academic advisors. The consultation hours for Anja and me, and also for the academic advisors, are all listed on our website. Here's a link. And of course, there are also other people you can talk to. TUM offers academic coaching activities. So if you find you need help, for example, with organizing your studies, then please don't hesitate to talk to those people here. There's individual coaching available. There's workshops and courses available. Just have a look at the website. There's also offerings in English. And the same is true for the Munich Student Union. The Munich Student Union offers an advisory network. So there's advisory on lots of different topics, and the Student Union is completely independent of the university. So this is not a TUM institution, but this is an institution responsible for all the universities in Munich. An overview of the advisory network and the contact data is available on this website here. Again, if you find you have troubles, if you find you want to talk, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll try to help. Now let me show you how to read your curriculum on TUM Online. Once you access TUM Online, you will probably be led to a page that gives you an option to access your curriculum right away. Unfortunately, my view here looks a little different, so I can't show you that right away, but I'll show you something that looks similar. And if you want to access the same, you also have that option. Here on the left-hand side, in that navigation tree, you can look for academic departments and then select mathematics. And that should give you a view that looks similar to this one, a little more restricted probably. But you should have the option to look for degree programs. And then select a degree program you want to look at. I'll have a look at the Mathematics Masters first. And this is the view that you should be familiar with from your curriculum mostly. In that view, you can access the different sections. Here in the elective modules, you'll find the areas of concentration under A, and you'll find other mathematical modules here under B. And if you expand that view, for example, let's expand A5 optimization together, then you'll find a list of modules. That division into core modules and special topics is not really important as far as the examination regulations are concerned. The main difference is that the core modules are held on a regular basis, usually yearly. The special topics modules may be more irregular. Now, these are the courses that you can use as part of your degree. You can find the module number here, the name of the module, and you can find information on the courses and the examinations that are offered. If you want to know more about a certain module, there is this book icon here that you can click on. That will open the module handbook for you. Here you can have a look at the number of credits this module is worth, 5 credits in this case. The module level, that should almost always be master. The usual occurrence, so this module is usually held in the winter term, and the language of instruction. That will mostly be English. You can also find a breakdown of the workload. For example, this 5-credit module is intended for 150 total hours of workload. 45 of these are contact hours, where you actually attend a lecture or a tutorial. 105 hours are meant for self-study and exam preparation. There's a description of the examination method. For example, here it says the module examination is based on a written exam, 60 minutes. Students will have to analyze different discrete optimization problems. They should be able to use techniques and concepts presented in the lecture and so on. There's a list of prerequisites as well. Those are not binding and no one will check those prerequisites, but it should give you an idea of what you should know in order to successfully complete that module. There's a description of the intended learning outcomes and of the content of that lecture. Also, you'll find the name of the module responsible. That's not necessarily the lecturer, but that is the person that is responsible for the module description and for the module as a whole. And of course, you'll also find a reading list, so suggested references. Now let me show you a different master's program so that I can also show you the credit requirements for certain sections. For example, let's have a look at Math Finance and Actuarial Sciences. As you can see here, there is this basics area, and as it says here, at least 6 credits are required from that basics area. Now that only has one module, so what that means is you have to take this module and you have to successfully complete it for this study program. For the elective courses, in this case, there's an area of concentration. If you choose mathematical finance as your area of concentration, for example, the credit requirement is 21 in total, 16 from math finance, 5 from actuarial science. And these are always lower bound. So of course you can, and in this case you probably will do more than just this 16 plus 5. If you choose actuarial science as your area of concentration, you need 5 credits from math finance and 14 from actuarial science. Also, let's have a look at A14 as well. So here you need at least 9 credits in that A14 part, stochastics. And you have a choice of doing either modules in probability or modules in statistics. And as it says here, you need at least 9 credits in either probability theory or statistics modules. So it's not the sum in this case that is relevant, but you need to choose one of these subsections and complete 9 credits in that subsection. Let's say you want to have a look at the actual examination regulations. The easiest way to access this is through our website. Let me switch that to English for you. There's study information, organizing your studies. Choose that. And then you can choose the point examinations. And here's a pointer to the academic and examination regulations. For example, if you're studying mathematics and operations research, there's usually a current and crossed version of the examination regulations available. You will want to access that one. As I said, that's a legal document, so it's available in German. But the most important part for you is usually Appendix 1. Let's scroll forward. Appendix 1 is a catalog of modules that can be taken, and it also details the requirements once again. So for example, here you have different sections. A11 is the section optimization, and you need at least 19 credits out of that section. Here's the modules listed that will count in this section. A12 is called applied mathematics, and you need 14 credits from that section, and so on. So you can either look that up on TOM Online or in the official regulations. I advise you to look up the official regulations because some regulations might not be immediately clear in TOM Online. For example, for the master's program in mathematics, that's a little hard to see in TOM Online. If you scroll on, you might also find regulations like this one here. For example, here in 132, a maximum of 10 credits is allowed. Now what that means is that you can use at most 10 credits for your master's program. Of course, you can take more, but they won't count towards your credit total. And as you can see here, that program also has a minor subject, A15, Nebenfach is German for minor, and you need at least 12 credits from this minor catalog, and there's a maximum of 21. So that's basically how you read examination regulations. Now let me show you one more thing. I've mentioned Article 38 already. Article 38 contains a list of fundamental modules. And for example, here in the Operations Research Masters, it says the fundamental modules are contained in section A11. So for this program, you now know that you need to complete at least one module from section A11 until the end of your second semester. Finally, I'd like to talk about a few special modules. The first thing on the list is the internship. The internship is something that you complete outside of the university and usually outside of research institutions. The idea is to get some insight into a typical mathematician's job. For the master's programs, you need to complete an internship of at least 4 weeks of full-time work. 6 weeks if you're doing the data science master. Usually, your internship will be longer than that, but 4 weeks is the minimum requirement. You can also do the internship by accepting a job as a working student. For example, if you work 1 day per week, then once you have completed enough days to be equal to 4 weeks of full-time work, that can be accounted for as an internship. In addition to actually doing the internship, you have to give a report about it at the internship seminar. Details on how long that report is and what it should contain is available on the website shown here. You don't only give your report yourself, you also give feedback to other reports. At least 2 feedbacks are required to complete the internship seminar successfully. You can give that feedback before you do your own internship, and actually I advise you do so. The reason for that is, in the internship seminar, you can get interesting insights into what other people did for their internship. That might give you an idea of what an interesting job or interesting internship for you might be. So my advice is to drop in to the internship seminar whenever there is an interesting talk. The program is available on the website. Give your feedbacks whenever you're there to collect the 2 feedbacks that you actually need. And then look for an internship for yourself. For the program in data science, and only for that, the internship can also be replaced by the so-called TUM Data Innovation Lab. That course can also be taken for the other master's programs, but it cannot be used in place of an internship. The next module I'd like to talk about is the seminar. Usually, you do your seminar in the third semester, but there's no strict requirement for that. The idea is that a seminar gives some preparation for the master's thesis. So if you do want to do a master's thesis in the field that you take your seminar, then you should talk to your advisor beforehand, so that the topic of your thesis and the topic of your seminar can be synced. For the seminars, application is necessary. The application usually takes place by the end of the previous semester. As usual, there'll be an email before the application process starts. We have recently switched to using a matching system for the seminar application. The idea of that system is that you can apply for several seminars at the same time by ranking them. You can rank your seminars from most preferred seminar to lesser preferred seminars, and also exclude seminars you're not interested in. The same thing can then be done by the lecturers who offer the seminars. They would rank the students that apply for their seminars. And then a matching will be computed. So hopefully at the end of the matching process, every applicant will have a place in one of their preferred seminars. There's only one seminar during your studies. You can, of course, do more than one if you're interested in the topics, but only one can be used for credits. The interdisciplinary courses are composed of modules that are not part of your normal master's program. Usually things like language courses, soft skills courses, and things like that fall into this category. For most programs, you need at least 4 credits in interdisciplinary courses. That's often 2 courses that students take. Usually there's a language course that accounts for 3 credits, sometimes more. Most people also take some soft skills course, like presentation skills or something like that, for 1 or 2 credits. There's one thing you should know about language courses. Language courses at the basic level can only be used to cover at most 3 credits of interdisciplinary courses. The basic level is A11 courses. Anything beyond that level will count with the actual credits for that course. For the data science program, things are a little different. Here you need at least 3 credits in interdisciplinary courses that you can choose freely, plus another 3 credits from a catalog called Social and Political Aspects of Data Science. So you need to make sure that at least 3 of your interdisciplinary credits are from that catalog. And you notice you need to do 6 credits worth of interdisciplinary courses if you're doing data science. One course that is popular with our students is the case studies. There's case studies courses in optimization, in discrete optimization, and in nonlinear optimization. There's case studies courses in biomathematics, and there's also case studies in science and engineering. In those case studies, you will work on hands-on problem-solving skills. So you get a problem, often in cooperation with some partner from research or industry, and you try to actually solve that problem. In the case studies, you're not working on the problem alone, but you're working in a small team. And you don't just have to solve the problem, you also have to give a presentation about your solution. And of course, you have to communicate with your partners about the solution and the solution process. So it's a combination of mathematics, teamwork, soft skills, problem solving, and a great experience. The number of possible participants is of course limited, so that's why an early registration is required. Usually the application process for the case studies also starts by the end of the previous semester. Keep an eye out for announcements. There's usually an email announcement about the case studies courses as well. Finally, a few words about the master's thesis. The master's thesis is usually the last thing you do. It's meant to be completed during your fourth or last semester, but there is no strict requirement on that. The master's thesis is worth 30 credits, and that means you should work 6 months full-time on that master's thesis. So that is quite a workload to complete. For a master's thesis, you need an advisor from the TUM Math department. In addition to that, there are some advisors from other departments that are also allowed to give you a thesis that would count for a TUM Math Master's program. A list of these possible advisors is available on our website. Of course, theses in cooperation with industry or research institutions outside of the department are possible. However, you will need to find an advisor from the TUM Math department who supports that and acts as the formal advisor. We are almost done with this introduction into the examination regulations. Hopefully, this video was able to answer some of your questions concerning your study program. I'm sure you will also have questions that I have not answered yet. And for this reason, we will be offering a questions and answers session right before the semester starts. The date and time for this meeting and all necessary information for accessing the meeting are displayed below. We will hold the meeting as an online meeting on Zoom. Because this semester, not all of you might be on campus yet, and we'd like to give all of you a chance to join this Q&A session. The access data and, as I said, the date and the time for the meeting are available on our website. You'll also find that video here and a link to all the relevant information, and of course a copy of the slides that you've seen before. In addition to this one-time Q&A session, Anja Hoffmann and myself are also holding regular consultation hours. Currently, these consultation hours are online only, but we hope to get back to in-person consultation hours during the semester. We will let you know about that when it changes. For dates, times, and access data, if necessary, please have a look at the website. Again, the link is displayed below in this video. Finally, we will update and collect all relevant information, including this video here, and including all the links I have just talked about on a special Moodle course page. A link to this page is again displayed below. By simply clicking on the link, you can either access the page right away, or you can register for that Moodle course. You can simply self-register. You don't need to do anything else. After registering, you will be able to access all the materials, including this video, the slides, and some additional materials. And you'll also get current up-to-date announcements on several topics if necessary and if you want to. Now, let me say that I hope you will be able to experience a mostly normal summer semester. I hope it will be an interesting and challenging time for you. I'm confident that you'll learn a lot here at TUM. And even more important than that, you will meet a lot of interesting people and hopefully also make a lot of new friends during your time here. As mentioned before, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at any time. Again, you can find the contact data on our website. So, let me conclude by wishing you all the best for the semester and for your studies here at TUM. I do hope I will see you around on campus sometime soon. Goodbye.